Welcome to the AI Hustle Podcast, the podcast where we break down the latest in AI news, tools, and interview experts helping you hustle and do more using AI. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that over the last 6 months, I've been working on a stealth AI startup. Of the hundreds of projects I've covered, this is the one that I believe has the greatest potential. So today I'm excited to announce AIBox. AIBox is a no-code AI app building platform paired with the App Store for AI that lets you monetize your AI tools. The platform lets you build apps by linking together AI models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and 11 Labs. Eventually, we'll integrate with software like Gmail, Trello, and Salesforce, so you can use AI to automate every function in your organization. To get notified when we launch and be one of the first to build on the platform, you can join the waitlist at aibox.ai. The link is in the show notes. We are currently raising a seed round of funding. If you're an investor that is focused on disruptive tech, I'd love to tell you more about the platform. You can reach out to me at jaden@aibox.ai. I'll leave that email in the show notes. So if you head on over to the DALL-E 3 landing page, what you're going to hear is, OpenAI says, quote, DALL-E 3 understands significantly more nuanced and detail than our previous systems, allowing you to easily translate your ideas into exceptionally accurate images. So the big thing I think to know here is that DALL-E 3 is actually going to get embedded into ChatGPT. So this is not something that is like in the past, if you use DALL-E 2, you went over to their website, play around with it. Now you're going to be able to literally, if you have the premium account of ChatGPT, you're going to be able to access and use DALL-E 3 right on ChatGPT. Now, this is not launched right now. They said that this is going to be coming to enterprise customers and ChatGPT Plus customers in October. And it's also apparently via the API and in labs later this fall. So it's going to be starting to get integrated into a ton of different products, which this is actually really cool. For those that don't know, I'm currently building an AI platform that allows you to link together a ton of different AI models and do some really impressive stuff. One of the big struggles we've had is that the major image generator is Midjourney. That's by far the best one. They do not have an API out yet, which is how you integrate it with software, which is super annoying. So you got to make all these workarounds. It's a ton of work. And this is really big, the fact that this is going to be, later this fall, the API for this is going to be available. This is going to be amazing. So I'm super excited about this. This is going to spur a ton of innovation. I know a lot of other developers and people working on startups are very, very excited about this. So here is what they're saying about it right now. They say modern text-to-image systems have a tendency to ignore words or descriptions, forcing users to learn prompt engineering. DALL-E 3 represents a leap forward in our ability to generate images that exactly adhere to the text you provide. This is really interesting, right? If you've tried to generate anything on, Midjourney, you have to throw random keywords in there to get it to do stuff. It's getting better to the point where it's going to be eventually talking to ChatGPT, say you just tell it what to do in plain English and it's going to do it. You don't have to change together, keywords and other things. So I think this is very, very interesting. They show an example of a picture where they literally said the sidewalk bustling with pedestrians enjoying the nightlife, a bustling city street under the shine of a full moon. At the corner stall, a young woman in fiery red hair dressed in a signature velvet cloak is haggling with a grumpy old vendor. The grumpy vendor, a tall, sophisticated man, is wearing a sharp suit, sports a noteworthy mustache, and is animated, conversing on his steampunk telephone. Okay, all of that right there. They did an image that is literally exactly that. It's just it is exactly what the words describe. So if you've ever tried to use Midjourney or anything else, the challenge where you're 7 millimeter lens camera far back, just you throw all these different UX UI keywords on there that aren't really part of a story. So now you literally tell the story, you type the exact words, and it can generate it. This is going to be really interesting for things like books. It's going to be able to take the page of a book and say, create an image of, what's happening on this page. So crazy. This is going to be amazing. So one thing that they have noted is that even with the same prompt, DALL-E 3 gives a lot better images over DALL-E 2. So they have the same prompt, which is an expressive oil painting of a basketball player dunking, depicted as an explosion of a nebula. And the, DALL-E 2 gives this picture that's kind of, splotchy, not very clear. They have it on DALL-E 3, and it's a really impressive picture. It's exactly what you'd kind of imagine or think of when you hear that prompt. So DALL-E 3 is built straight into ChatGPT, like I mentioned, and this kind of lets you use ChatGPT as a brainstorming partner to help you refine your prompts, right? Because even though it does exactly what you say in your text, sometimes you may want to add or remove things. This is kind of nice where you literally are in ChatGPT, an environment you're familiar with, while you're developing these images. And you can also ask ChatGPT what you want to see, and just, throw it to a paragraph, throw it into simple sentences, it's going to generate it. So when prompted with an idea, ChatGPT is going to automatically generate tailored, detailed prompts for DALL-E 3, which is really cool, right? So ChatGPT is actually going to be able to create prompts. I've actually been using this for a while, and I wasn't sure if this was something that they were tying in, but it looks like it's getting a lot more tied in where ChatGPT can generate prompts that really bring your idea to life. If you like a particular image, but it's not like exactly what you're going for, you can also ask ChatGPT to make small tweaks with just a few words. And it's, you're constantly like reiterating and kind of creating the perfect image for yourself, which is really, really cool. Like I said, this is going to be available in early October for paying customers. And I think what's really interesting, they said, quote, "As with DALL-E 2, the images you create with DALL-E 3 are yours to use, and you do not need our permission to reprint, sell, or merchandise them." So this is really interesting. They're essentially saying you have the copyright to these images that you're generating, which is very, and literally like commercial rights they're telling you can resell them. Now, I don't know if that means that they have, done some unique things with their image data set where they're essentially using images they have the rights to. I'm not sure like where the line is on that. But it says that they've taken steps to limit DALL-E 3's ability to generate, of course, violent, adult, or hateful content. That makes sense. They've also essentially said that it has, mitigations to decline requests to ask for a public figure by name. So, you essentially, I think if you're saying like a picture of Donald Trump, flying an airplane, or a picture of, Biden throwing a grenade or something crazy, right? It's not going to do that, which is interesting. I'm sure that's controversial. People are going to want jailbroken versions that they can generate public figures doing things, even if it's satire, I'm sure, or parody and stuff. So it's going to be interesting. I think Midjourney was in a bit of controversy earlier this year when they essentially, if you tried to ask for a picture of Xi Jinping, the president of China, it wouldn't allow you to do it, but you could do other people. And I think that's from like some Chinese pressure, other things. So, there's interesting things, but it looks like they're doing the same thing here. And at least OpenAI seems to have a blanket policy where it's no public figures, versus just, a couple random Xi Jinpings that are complaining. So in any case, they said that they improved safety performance in risk areas like generation of public figures and harmful biases related to people in partnership with, they have a big red teaming thing, a bunch of domain experts that have kind of helped do this. They said they've done this to help inform our risk assessments and mitigation efforts in areas like propaganda and misinformation. Interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions on that. But in any case, it says, we're also researching the best ways to help people identify when an image was created with AI. We're experimenting with a provenance classifier, a new internal tool that can help us identify whether or not an image was generated by DALL-E 3, and we hope to use this tool to better understand the ways generated images might be used. So they'll share more on that soon. Very interesting. They're coming up with a way to actually detect which images are generated by AI. This is something that Google has been working on as well, so they're not the first people on this, but maybe some people to crack it on a high level. One thing that they have mentioned is, really giving creative control. They said DALL-E 3 is designed to decline requests that ask for an image in the style of a living artist. So, I guess you could still say do X, Y, and Z in the style of Vincent van Gogh if they're dead. But if it's a living artist, then it won't generate it. It's essentially designed to not generate images in that same style. So living artists today are, people, a lot of them have been complaining like, hey, these image generators are just knocking off my work, so it won't be able to do that. Another interesting thing that they've also said is that creators can now also opt their images out from training of our future image generation models. Now, the keyword here is future image generation models. So the model they have today is using everyone else's. But I went over to it and I saw they literally have a form where you put your name, your email, if you're the rights owner or if you're requesting it on behalf of someone else. You can have a general description of your image, and you can actually upload images that you would like to be excluded from future training models. So you're an artist, you have, let's say a library of like 150 really famous images you've painted, maybe you've sold them. You can upload that library and it will not include those in its generation. Now, this is definitely a step behind something like what Adobe's doing, where you know, they have a platform that's actually opted in. They have the rights to all the content on the platform, and they train models off of that. Definitely a step behind that, as this is still generating from people's stuff, but very, very interesting. The images look quite impressive, way more like something you'd see on Midjourney. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of like a stormy ocean out the window. There's a coffee cup on the windowsill that has a wave splashing of coffee. Really realistic, looks really, really impressive. So there's some really cool stuff. I'm seeing indoor renderings, so for like architects and stuff, outside of buildings, insides of buildings, interior design, ocean stuff, hyper realistic, all sorts of different types of art. There's one that's like a digital illustration of a beach scene crafted from yarn, and it literally looks like yarn. Looks like a piece of art a person could have made. All sorts of really, really impressive art is on this. So I think this is definitely going to be the next step. I'll tell you what I think is the biggest deal about this. Definitely, this is impressive. Definitely, they're doing a bunch of new things around safety and, like, you know, helping artists. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, is the fact that this thing's going to have an API. And if, you know, Midjourney does not come out with an API before then, this is going to be what gets integrated into all software and sees the most adoption. So very, very exciting. And we're excited for early October to start testing out DALL-E 3 and giving you an in-depth analysis once it is live. If you are looking for an innovative and creative community of people using ChatGPT, you need to join our ChatGPT creators community. I'll drop a link in the description to this podcast. We'd love to see you there, where we share tips and tricks of what is working in ChatGPT. It's a lot easier than a podcast, as you can see screenshots, you can share and comment on things that are currently working. So if this sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the comment. We'd love to have you in the community. Thanks for joining me on the OpenAI podcast. It would mean the world to me if you would rate this podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to the AI Hustle podcast. If you could do us a massive favor, we would really, really appreciate it if you could leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. This helps people find the podcast. It helps people know this is a good place to go. And we would really, really appreciate it, as it helps us continue to bring on incredible guests and share incredible content for you to listen to.